that. So, I will let you know how that goes. And you want to contact me. If you have any questions about dialysis, I did all 5 phases. If you want to contact me, you can contact me, Gonzo here, GONZOHERE at Comcast.net. If you want to know how to get from in center to go home, and you want to talk about how the progression is, just let me know. I'll be pleased to lead you on the steps and who to contact. And this is my man over here, Tom.
Thank you, Eric.
No problem, sir.
So, those of you that are joining us, we welcome you to the E&T show. And as you just heard Eric explain, he's been through all 5 levels of dialysis, from manual exchanges to the cyclers to the in-center, home hemo, and now transplant. So please reach out to him if you're a patient or warrior or a family member and you want to know what's it like as a patient experience. 5 of those different levels. Please reach out to him and he'll gladly help you out and let you know some of the pros and cons of each. With that being said, my name is Tom. I've been doing dialysis for 29 years now, and I'm currently a registered nurse, and I'm a serial entrepreneur as well. And I started out just stocking the dialysis unit at the local hospital, and I did that for 4 months. And I became a dialysis orderly after 4 months, where I go up, grab the patients from the rooms, bring them down to the dialysis unit that was in the hospital, help weigh them, transfer them, make the bicarb, which is the blue container that you guys have, or the blue wand that you guys have in the center. And if there's any emergencies, I was there helping support the emergencies as well. And then I became a dialysis technician after 6 months, where I worked both on the East Coast and West Coast. I've been in over 160 plus dialysis centers. I worked for every company you can imagine, from Fresenius, DaVita, U.S. Renal Care, Renal Ventures, TRC, RTC, Renal Care Group, Corizon, Chardonnay. The list just goes on and on. Been in all those companies, been contracted with all of them. And so I pretty much have a good understanding of how dialysis companies work, as well as the centers. And, after 10 years of being a technician, I eventually went and got my nursing degree. Took me about 10 years to get, but I was determined to achieve it, and went from East Coast to West Coast again, doing some college, and found that California, if you're a resident out there, your college is really cheap. So I did a lot of education out there just to help save some money. Again, I was raised by a single mom that just had some excellent work experience. And, we didn't really come from any money or anything of that nature, but, we had the work ethics that was there is really what I was picking up there from my mom. Great work ethic. So with that being said, I eventually got my nursing license, and then in 2004, graduated as a registered nurse. 2006, I started my first dialysis company, where I was staffing dialysis. I worked for an agency company that was real greedy and unethical. So I decided to start my own. I knew, the healthcare professionals could be treated better and more fairly, and didn't have to be, abused and taken advantage of like some of these other companies do. So we started out, and I had a partner of mine where he ran PA, I ran Jersey, and New Jersey, that is. And unfortunately, there was a tragic accident, and my partner had choked on a sausage sandwich, passed away. And then I picked up a kidney doctor for, from 2009 to 2020. And at that point, he retired out, and I co-founded our company that we have now, Primo Healthcare Services, where we pretty much do everything from dental hygienists to doctors, staffing. We teach dialysis. If you or a loved one want to learn about dialysis, we teach dialysis. We show up to your house to be a dialysis care partner. We can hold on to your supplies for you. If you need help with supplies, if they say your space is too small, you live in an apartment, we can actually show up every day with supplies and hold on to them for you. We also do some sales and marketing for dialysis, consulting, and we are Grant Cardone licensees as well. And the where we're at today is we have our ENT show where we welcome you. And so please share the video and like it. We're going to drop some golden nuggets to you. That's what I like to say. Some golden nuggets regarding blood pressure. So we know blood pressure is an important role, and you've probably seen some of these Facebook groups that are having some issues with blood pressures. I like to say as seasons change, so does the weights. And so the weights changing are going to be affecting your blood pressure as well. So, but with that being said, we welcome you to the ENT show. Let's go home. Boom. Cerise, what do you say we go ahead and get started on dropping some golden nuggets for everybody?
Yes.
So what we did today is today we're going to be talking about blood pressure. And like I just mentioned, and we have a workbook for you. If you're interested in downloading the workbook, you can do that. And Therese is going to put the site in the chat. So if you don't know who Therese is, Therese, would you like to give a quick intro there about you and what you are doing?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Charisse, and I'm the CEO of Primo Healthcare Service. And today we'll be talking about the blood pressure Bootcamp, where we'll be talking about everything about blood pressure.
And our CEO is also a student nurse. So she'll be demonstrating doing a manual blood pressure today with us. And she's the technology behind the camera. And, the individual that's in there working our chat as well. So let's give it up to Charisse. Big inspiration.
Great job, Charisse. Good.
Great leader. Up and coming.
Keep on doing a fantastic job there.
Up and coming in the healthcare field. Got one more semester of school left, and she'll be graduating as a registered nurse. So kudos to you for picking the right field to be in and being able to make a difference in the community. So another amazing nurse coming to the community. Love that.
Nice.
All right. So Sharice, what is the link? Are you able to verbally say it, or is it got to be put in the chat?
It has to be on the chat.
Okay, so you have to go to the chat. Look in the chat. We'll pin it up there. We can do a pin in there, and we could do that way you guys can go ahead in there and download that. We'll give you a couple minutes to download the workbook. And
blood pressure and hypertension is the same thing, isn't it?
yeah, so
Okay.
hypertension is one extreme of blood pressure, and the other extreme is called hypotension. So hypo is low blood pressure, hyper is high blood pressure.
Right.
So the number 1 and number 2 killer of your kidneys are high blood pressure and diabetes. So I think, from year to year, the roles reverse. Sometimes it's diabetes is the number 1 killer, then it's high blood pressure. Then another year it could be high blood pressure and then diabetes. So, but either way, it's high blood pressure is in the top 2. So it's something that's very important.
Well, in your background before Teresa said looking for it, how does high blood pressure attack the kidneys?
Yes, so the high blood pressure stresses out the kidneys. And so with that, we'll go real granular in that, Eric, or shortly. But and we have a PowerPoint presentation we put together on that. But it, really stresses out the kidney, overworks it, and high blood pressure in general is not good for the body. Mm-hmm. There's lots of causes of high blood pressure, from dietary items to even sleep apnea. So anything relating to the heart is going to be in relationship to your blood pressure.
Gotcha.
So, but the some of the things in dialysis that's important is when we do your dialysis that we have the feet up in the air. And, some basic things we should think about here. So before I even go into the blood pressure is, we live in a world where there's gravity. So anytime you go from like a lying, sitting, or standing position, your blood pressure is going to drop. And that's because the blood leaves your brain and your heart and goes down to your legs with gravity. And that usually will create you to be dizzy. So, anyway, Streets, where are we at with that? With our PowerPoint presentations, can we dip right on into that?
Yes, but I just want to point out that the workbook link is in the comments and also in the screen.
Excellent. See that there? Okay. So you're probably wondering now, how exactly does the blood pressure work? We have that
Yes.
slide there, Cherise. Is that the first one you have on there?
Yep.
Excellent. So this is now again, we have a workbook here that you can fill out. They can fill out online, or they have to print it out, Cherise.
That they can fill out online.
So you can fill it out online. It keeps you engaged. It also allows you to take away something of value right away. So, this is something that we do, free of charge. We do sell these programs later on. So if you're here and you're joining us, we welcome you to the E&T show. Let's go home. We're about to take off on the blood pressure. And
very important subject right there.
Very important. And you need to know how your blood pressure works so that you know how to prevent any potential injuries or problems that can arise. The important thing about dialysis is to not be reactive, but to be preventative. So write that down. I know you're taking notes. I don't think that's on our slides. The important thing to know about dialysis when you're dialyzing is you always want to be preventative and not reactive. If you're reactive, it's going to be too late. So if you can prevent things from happening, that's what you should do. And we're going to talk a little bit about something I saw on one of our Facebook groups. If you're there and you've seen it, or if you're going to hear about what I'm going to talk about, it's a great study there to put out for you guys to have a discussion about blood pressure. It was almost like pretty amazing that we're talking about blood pressure and then the situation happened with somebody at home. So there's a great parallel there. And we're going to talk about some things there and what you should and shouldn't do while you're having dialysis. So let's go ahead and let's get started. We're going to go with our first PowerPoint slide, which is how to, where's that? There you go. How blood pressure works. Okay, so the blood pressure is the force of blood against the artery walls. It's measured by millimeters of mercury, and the systolic number is the top number, and that's the higher number, which measures the force of blood in arteries when the heart beats. So it's actually the contraction of the heart. When the heart contracts, that is the systolic.
And that's the top number.
That's the top number.
Okay.
The diastolic, which is the lower number, measures the force of blood in arteries when the heart is resting between beats. So when the heart's done contracting, it's going to rest, and that's what the diastolic, the bottom number, is. Now, when taking a blood pressure, I don't think it's in here in any of our PowerPoints, but I want to add that in there. When you take the blood pressure, always, 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 it's the always, 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 write it down. Taking notes, I know you are. You want to write this down. Always record the heart rate. The heart rate is very important to know what the blood pressure is and what the heart did at that time. So, for example, if your blood pressure is low, that means the heart's got to beat faster to maintain a low blood pressure because it wants to bring it up. So your heart rate should go up if your blood pressure goes down. Now, when you're doing dialysis, because there's a correlation between volume and blood pressure. So when the volume, which means when you have fluid on you, your blood pressure will go high. When you have less volume on you, your blood pressure will go low. And you should see a low blood pressure will have what? A high heart rate. So, and that's a normal response to a low blood pressure is the heart rate will go up.
So does that cause stress on the heart?
Oh, absolutely. It stresses out the heart. So, it's it's anytime you have to raise the heart rate. But the thing is, what you want to take away from that is not only is you should see that, but also that's part of our preventative measure. When we see the heart rate going up and blood pressure is going down, you're probably going to be dry at that point. You won't have any fluid on you at that point. So if you keep going on dialysis and removing fluid, when the heart rate's up and blood pressure's down, what's going to happen is you're going to pass out from a low blood pressure because there's no more volume to take from you. So I just want to put that out there. And again, everything that we discuss here, guys, this is our experience. If you are here and you're tuned in and you're listening, please follow the instructions and the guidelines of your healthcare professionals. We're just here telling you what's worked for us.
Right.
Although I am a healthcare professional, I'm just going to tell you what's worked for us. It may not be policy. It may not be, the doctor's order. So the things that we speak of are really what's happening and what we've used or based off our experience.
Right.
So just want to put that out there so you guys know to please listen and follow your healthcare professional's advice. Not ours, but we're going to tell you what works. Okay, next PowerPoint slide. Oh, and before we get too far ahead, you should know, I didn't see that in there, but the normal blood pressure is usually around 120 to 80, or 120 over 80. If your systolic pressure is consistently 140 or higher, or your diastolic pressure is 90 or higher, you may have high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. So, with that being said, let's go on to our next slide. If you guys see me over here on the side, I'm looking at some of my notes, some of the PowerPoint slides that we got here going with you guys as well. But did we go too far, Sharice? I think we did.
No.
You skipped over?
No.
It went 2 screens.
So blood pressure is very important for any individual, matter of fact.
Okay, great. So how does the blood pressure work? The factors that can affect blood pressure are your age, your sex, your weight. Oh, what's it doing here? That was it? I'm sorry, guys. Our age, the sex, weight, and the family history. We want to maintain a healthy lifestyle, which includes a healthy diet, regular physical activity, not smoking, limiting your alcohol intake, and medications, lower blood pressure. Now, however, one of the most important ones on that, they're all important. They're all factors of your blood pressure. But probably the most important is the smoking. Because the smoking, and especially if you have diabetes, which is number 1 or number 2 killer of the kidneys, if you're smoking, your vessels are getting, they're very small. So what happens is, if you picture like a tree and how the core of the tree, the center of the tree is wide, as the tree gets bigger, the branches get thinner. Well, the blood vessels do the same thing. They get thinner the further away from the core. So your fingers, your toes, any extremity that's further away from the core will have smaller blood vessels in general. And then when you have smoking included in there, the vessels are even smaller because it doesn't get, you're smoking, so you're not getting oxygen, and the vessels eventually over time shrink up. So that's something that I want to point out there. That was in that PowerPoint slide. Go back to it, Sharice. Okay, so as it's coming around, there we go. some of the things you can do is, again, regular physical activity and take medication to lower your blood pressure. So we're going to go a little bit granular on some of these topics as well. Go ahead and hit our next PowerPoint slide. All right, so your blood pressure in the kidneys. Right, so kidneys regulate blood pressure by controlling the amount of fluid and electrolytes like sodium and potassium. And that's all done within the kidneys. The blood flows into the kidney through the renal arteries, through the structure called the glomeruli. And the glomeruli removes waste products and excess fluid from blood and sends them to the renal tubules, which lead to the bladder for excretion in the urine. So, it's the fluids entering in, there's sodium and potassium being removed out of there, and that's going to that's going to go through the glomeruli, which will send it to the renal tubules, which then go to the bladder for excretion. So when you don't have normal kidney function, the sodium and potassium stay within the vascular system, and the waste products aren't removed, and either is the fluid. And this is why there's a big misconception at times when you have the patient, the warrior is like, hey, listen, are my kidneys working because I still urinate a lot?
Right.
Well, you can still urinate a lot, but if you don't have the waste being removed or the electrolytes being removed from you, then it doesn't matter, because the kidneys, just so you know, really has a couple functions here. One is to remove waste. The other one's waste meaning toxins, electrolytes. The other one, so it does electrolyte balance. It also does regulation of blood pressure, which is why we're talking about today. It also produces a hormone called erythropoietin, and that sends a signal to the bone marrow to reproduce red blood cells. So, those are like the main things that the kidneys do. But what we do is dialysis replaces the removal of fluid and the exchange of electrolytes and the removal of the waste. And the blood pressure is controlled through medications once you're in kidney failure. And then also your erythropoietin hormone is supplemented by either you're on Mircera, Epogen, those type of medications to send that signal to the bone marrow to reproduce red blood cells. So that's why if your hemoglobin is going down, you're going to start something to stimulate the red blood cell production. Like I said, it could be Mircera, Epogen,
or even a dose of iron.
Iron helps out as well, and so what it's going to do is it's going to help increase the red blood cell production. So that's all handled by medications as well.
So before you go to the next slide, what he was trying to say is the kidneys, even though you are urinating a lot, you might not be cleaning the blood.
That's right. That's right. Good point. Good point. You're right.
And the more dialysis that you do, that also damages the kidneys even more.
Yes. So here you go. So the kidneys can also produce hormones that regulate blood pressure. So now this is a little bit of the physiology of what's happening with the kidneys and your blood pressure. So renin, which is released by the juxtaglomerular cells when blood pressure is low. Sorry, it's a big word for me. Helps increase blood pressure by constricting blood vessels and increasing the retention of salt and water in the body.
So that controls the salt and water in the body?
Yeah, it helps increase the blood pressure by constricting blood vessels and increasing the retention of salt and water in the body.
Gotcha.
So the renin, it's released by these juxtaglomerular cells when blood pressure is low. So we have let me go back to this slide here. So the kidneys, what they do is the kidneys play a role in regulating blood pressure. They do this by controlling the amount of fluid and electrolytes such as sodium and potassium in your body. When your blood pressure is too low, the kidneys release a hormone called renin, which helps increase your blood pressure by constricting your blood vessels and increasing the retention of salt and water in your body. On the other hand, when your blood pressure is too high, the kidneys release another hormone called angiotensin, which helps to decrease your blood pressure by dilating your blood vessels and increasing the excretion of salt and water in your urine. The kidneys also produce a hormone called erythropoietin, which I just talked about, which stimulates the production of red blood cells. Red blood cells help to carry oxygen to the body's tissue, which is why Eric mentioned venifer or iron as well, because that's what the iron does. And increases in red blood cells can help to increase blood pressure. In addition to these hormones, the kidneys also use a filtering function to help regulate blood pressure. The kidneys filter waste products and excess fluid from the blood, and this helps to maintain the proper volume in the body. If the kidneys are not functioning properly, this can lead to fluid imbalances and change in your blood pressure. All right. So back to our next slide. All right, so it skipped over erythropoietin. Cherise.
It's on there.
No, the slide skipped over erythropoietin.
It's both of them's there.
I only have one. I only have this one.
You went over that already.
Sorry, guys, we're trying to get this situated here. So again, the erythropoietin stimulate red blood cell production. The red blood cell help to carry oxygen in the body tissues. An increase in red blood cells can help increase blood pressure.
So when your hemoglobin goes down, that's the reason why you got to take the Aranus and the Epogen and the iron.
The Sierra, right, as well. So, all right, let's go on to the next one. It's good to have the slides this way. You know, the viewers can see each one of the slides. Even
Right.
if I go over some, I want you to have each slide in case you want to screenshot it and review it later on. You have that availability. Can we go to the angiotensin one?
Oh, that was
That's
before.
That's one of the reasons why when you do blood work, they always check your hemoglobin to make sure your red blood cells are up to standard.
Okay, and again, the angiotensin is released in response to high blood pressure. It helps to decrease blood pressure by dilating the blood vessels and increasing the excretion of salt and water in the urine. So that's what angiotensin is. It's release in response to high blood pressure.
Okay. So remember, just because you are peeing a lot doesn't mean you're getting rid of all the toxins and the salts and potassium.
Right? It's important to remember that.
So blood pressure is essential.
I mean, something so minor is so important, you know, and that, again, this is why we want to talk about it. And we want to get some education out there on it. And again, like I said, we've seen some things in the Facebook this yesterday that we want to talk about in a little bit. So when your kidneys fail, you're unable to properly filter waste products and excess fluid from the blood. This will lead up to the buildup of the substances in the body, which can cause a number of problems, including changes in blood pressure. So, of course, the volume is building up, blood pressure is going up. And of course, you don't have your toxins being removed, which we kind of touched over. So that's what this slide is about, those items there. We'll go ahead to the next one.
So your toxins and fluid are the key components of heart failure.
Yes, definitely having the fluid around the heart. Heart failure is really, when the fluid is accumulating around the heart, and the heart can't expand and contract to its full extension. So it's got like walls around it that's built in there. So it's important to keep the fluid down during dialysis for that reason for the heart. Remember, I would say like this, guys, dialysis does not kill anybody, okay? It's unless you're getting the needles and cannulated, and unless you're getting cramping, it's normally pain-free. So what kills somebody that's on dialysis is the heart or the lungs.
Right.
So just know that. Okay, so when the kidneys fail, the early stage kidneys are still able to compensate for decreased function. As the kidney failure progresses, kidneys may lose ability to regulate blood pressure effectively, which leads to hypertension or hypotension. And there's something out there that happens when you're on dialysis, and you still have some kidney function. You may lose that. So I don't know. A lot of times this isn't explained to patients, but you may lose your ability to urinate because dialysis will make your kidneys a little lazy.
And
It's doing the work for you. Eric,
that was myself, because when I started dialysis, I was still urinating, and I said, let me start dialysis so I can be ahead of the game. And they didn't tell me nothing about, the longer period you do dialysis, the more or less you be urinating. So I learned that the hard way. But yeah, that's very true. Some people, a lot of patients out there thinking they still urinating. Yeah, you're still getting rid of the water, but not the toxins inside your body.
And so know this too, guys. Okay, so hypertension is high blood pressure, and hypotension is low blood pressure, right? So just know that when somebody's hyper, they're really excited. That's high blood pressure. When they're low and slow, that's hypotension. All right, geez, let's hit that next one. So, all right, now we go a little granular with the hypertension, which is the common complication for your kidney, and that leads to kidney failure. It's caused by buildup of waste products in the blood, the renin and angiotensin, accumulation of fluid in the body, right? So we talked about that a little bit earlier. When the volume's high in the body, your blood pressure is going to go hyper, right? So it's going to go high. So that's the number one, number two killer of your kidneys is hypertension. So if you just joined us,
welcome to the ET show.
Welcome to ET show.
Let's go home.
Let's go home. My name is Tom, and this is Eric.
Eric here.
And we're coming to you live every Saturday, and we have plenty of videos previous. If you see you're getting some value out of here and you want to go a little bit further, but if you have any questions, please put them in the chat if you're live with us. If not, put them in the chat anyways. We'll come back to it, or you can reach out to us at info@primohealthcareservices.com. That's info@primohealthcareservices.com, where we do everything here at Primo Healthcare Services, from staffing a dialysis unit, consulting to dialysis companies, to sending dialysis care partners to the home for patients who want to do home dialysis. So we even teach dialysis. So if you're a dialysis company and you don't have a dialysis training program, reach out to us. We can work with you on utilizing our dialysis training program, and that can definitely suffice for the need when you have applicants that don't have training for dialysis. So let's jump back into it. Again, here we go. We have our next PowerPoint slide.
We are talking about high blood pressure and low blood pressure right here.
Yes, and as you see there, the hypotension. Now this is the opposite of hyper. Hypotension is potential complications of the kidney failure that can happen, and it's caused by the loss of fluids and electrolytes from the body, decreased production of hormone-regulating blood pressure, and it can cause dizziness, fainting, fatigue, etc.
So when a patient takes too much off, then they would get that.
That's right. That's right. So, but it doesn't necessarily have to be too much fluid off, but that is what we're indicating here: loss of fluid, electrolytes from the body. But it also can be from, just having a low blood pressure. You will have dizziness, fainting, fatigue, positioning of your body. Right, I want to stress this, guys, so much after reading this Facebook post. If you're going from lying to sitting to standing, your blood pressure is going to drop. So it's important to take your time when you go from lying to sitting to standing, because your blood pressure leaves your brain and your heart and goes down with gravity. So each time you're lying, you're sitting, and then you're standing, gravity's going down, right? So you pull the blood down on you. So it's important. This is why during dialysis, if you're in a dialysis center, you may be asking yourself the question, why is everybody's feet up in the air? Right? I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who have asked that question. Put in the chat right now if you ever asked yourself that question. Have you ever wondered why everybody in dialysis has their feet in the air? Okay, so here's the answer. The answer is because it helps maintain the blood pressure. So if your feet are down, it's going to go with gravity, and we're in the machine, we're pulling the fluid out, which means we're going to lower your blood pressure. And if you're sitting in a chair, your blood pressure is going to go low because you're sitting and gravity's pulling it down. So we want the feet up in the air, and this is why we don't put your feet down. And if you're a clinician, you should not put your patient's feet down unless it's at the end of the treatment and they got their blood back, because now their volume has increased and they can maintain a safe sitting position. So now I say this, and I think we should just go right into the Facebook post that we saw, yesterday on Friday. Terrible incident that happened. I don't even have the posting with me, otherwise I'd share it with you where exactly it came from. But it's in the Living on Dialysis Facebook group. But there was an individual there that posted how her husband and her do dialysis at home, and sometimes he uses the bathroom during dialysis. And what they do is they push the machine closer to the bathroom where he can just get up and walk into the bathroom. Now, that in itself is a very dangerous concept and thing to do. So, and again, I'm not hammering on this person, nothing like that. I want to make sure everybody's safe, and I want to make sure everybody's getting the proper information on that. So what happens is when you stand up and you're doing dialysis, your blood has already left your body. Right. So if you ever have to use the bathroom and you're on dialysis, you need to have your blood returned back to you and taken off. Because if not, when you stand, your blood pressure can drop. And this particular individual, the care partner, she knew what she had to do, but she didn't act on that intuition. Right. She said it multiple times. I need to stop and return I need to stop your dialysis. And the warrior kept saying, no, don't do it. Now, when you're having that feeling already internally, and this is a higher level, it's a little bit magical, but when you as a clinician, as a care partner, have this feeling that something's not right or something is not what it should be, you have to listen to that. You have to, over time, you're going to gain confidence, and you'll understand how this works a little bit more. But you just got to trust me when I say to you, listen to that gut instinct. It's telling you something for a reason. Okay, there's a little special power of care partners and clinicians that we have where we know something's not right. It's a little bit on the magical side. Okay, so this person knew that her husband should not be going to the bathroom. She wants to, stop the treatment, but he insisted no. Now, we have those situations in the center as well where we wanted somebody's feet to go up in the air and the blood pressure's low, and they're like, no, no, no. And it's only going to be a matter of minutes, right? Because there's something here. You can't violate their right. Mm-hmm. So they want to say, no, I want my feet down. You can't violate their right. But we can act on it when they pass out. And sometimes I'd have to tell patients myself, listen, you should have your feet up in the air. No, I'm fine. Okay, I'm going to tell you now, though, when you pass out, I'll be doing whatever I got to do to get your blood pressure back up. And sometimes I've had stubborn ones that would pass out, and then, boom, we're right there working on them and getting their blood pressure up. And it shouldn't have to be that way, but, some people are stubborn like that. I get it. There's a lot of trust issues in the world. But you know, when you have that feeling inside, you need to act on it. So she knew what was happening, and you know, as soon as he got up and was able to, you know, head to the bathroom, he, you know, obviously stood up, got real dizzy, ended up passing out. And when you're passing out, let me backtrack for a second. Let me stop there for a second. There's also a golden indicator, guys. Write this down. This is a true golden nugget. Eric, as a warrior, please validate this if this is true or not. If your blood pressure is low, there's something, and this is my trends I've seen, there's something that you'll have, and it's a sensation that you have to use the bathroom.
Right. Right.
Would you agree?
Oh, yes.
So there's a sensation that you have to use the bathroom. Whenever you're dialyzing somebody and you have that experience of, man, I feel like I have to use the bathroom, always check the blood pressure. Always, always, always check the blood pressure. That's a key indicator. Yawning, urgency, have to use the bathroom. Those are all indicators of a low blood pressure. Trust me on that. Hit the blood pressure, check it. So this particular person was running a low blood pressure, needed to use the bathroom. It's a recipe for disaster, which is exactly what happened. Stood up, sat down, blood pressure dropped, passed out, you know, gurgling on the floor. And listen, at that point, they were disconnected and dialysis was stopped. Well, at that point, the most important thing that you could have done there was give fluid. You have to give fluid back. Remember, you pulled the volume out because you didn't give the blood back, right? You just disconnected. And so what that individual needed at that time was a volume.
Right.
They needed their blood back and they needed volume. So listen to your intuition. You knew what to do. Internally, you felt it, you knew it. I believe in you. And again, this is not hammering on anybody. This is a complete education to help everybody out because we all learn from others' experience, right? I didn't get to where I'm at if it wasn't from the experience of others. Right, Eric?
Right.
So at that point, the cops showed up, 911 was called, cops show up. Now we're in the phase of where we're vomiting. So this is very common with low blood pressure as well. When they come back to alertness, they're nauseous and they start vomiting. Well, there's something that happens, and if you dialyze with the Next to Me app, you can look in the app during dialysis, and it shows the graphing of your arterial and venous. Now, if you cough, you'll see that spike up. That's an increase in the internal vascular system pressure. So the same thing is happening when they come around and you start vomiting, your blood pressure goes up because it's all that energy internally and you're vomiting. So all that pressure is internally. So you're going to see it, a high blood pressure. You may think, oh, his blood pressure never dropped or her blood pressure never dropped, but they're vomiting. So you're going to get a little bit normal blood pressure at that time. You may have loose bowels as well because of that, either vomiting, the pressure, it could be stress incontinence, you know, but that's common to have a vomiting afterwards. And so again, what that individual needed was volume. And, you know, the volume in all this can also trigger dysrhythmias in the heart. So, you know, this particular individual had his pacemaker, they went to the hospital, got evaluated, everything was okay at that point because there's stabilization that was happening. But I just wanted to address that because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that did not know that your blood pressure will drop when you stand up, how the danger of dialyzing while using the bathroom in general, and also, you know, to listen to your intuition, to listen, you know, to understand what's happening when you're vomiting, why you're going to get a higher blood pressure. That does not mean that they're okay just because the blood pressure starts going up. It's just, it's being forced up through the body and through vomiting. And one of the important things you can do when you're vomiting, and if they're laying on the ground, is you're going to at least want to try to pick them up at least a 30-degree angle of their head and turn their head to the side so they don't aspirate their vomit, being their vomit will go into their lungs if you keep them laying down, right? So, and then that becomes a complete different problem that you're going to have. So, you know, I wanted to disclose all these things out there to you guys to help you in case anybody else ever hits a situation. I know it can be scary, intimidating, dialyzing at home, as a spouse, a loved one, a neighbor, a nephew, a niece, a sister, a daughter, sister, brother, right, son. It takes special people to do what we do, but at the same time, that mentally, it's going to impact you. This individual, I'm sure she's very nervous now to do dialysis with her husband. Very scared. Situation could have gone a lot worse. But you have that weight on your shoulder now of knowing what happened and what could happen.
I think just reverse. I think she knew what to do. She knew what to do, but she didn't follow on to her instinct. All this could have been avoided.
Yeah,
if she would have followed her intuition and said, this is protocol. This is what I want to do.
I agree, but I also think though, it's like when you're dialyzing, and God forbid it's dialyzing a spouse, and God forbid something happens, you kind of have this guilt to it. Is it my fault? Did I do something wrong? And I just want to put that out there. Like, listen, that's why if you're not interested in being a care partner, reach out to us. info@primohealthcareservice.com. info@primohealthcareservice.com. We have trained professionals that can dialyze your loved ones, right? So otherwise, you might have that guilt situation that comes on. All right, let's get back into the PowerPoint slides. And please, if you got the value out there already, hit the like button, hit the smash button. Go to subscribe to our YouTube page, which is what is it, Shrees? Primo Healthcare Services.
Yes, we're also live on YouTube as well.
And we're live on YouTube. So Primo Healthcare Services, go to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. We need subscribers there so that we can do more of these videos as well. And again, this is all non-bias from any company. Although I do own a co-founder of Primo Healthcare Services, but we're really here talking because we want to get value out there. We are the name and face of kidney failure awareness and kidney exchange. So, we're living our mission that way of promoting this education out there. Okay, great. So now we're on hypotension, right? So hypotension, potential complications of the kidney, which we talked about, the loss of fluids and electrolytes from the body, decreased production of the hormone regulating blood pressure, and causes dizziness, fainting, and I can't see what that last one was on that slide, fatigue, etc. Okay, so in that particular situation, there was dizziness, there was fainting, and fatigue. So fatigue started first, and then there was some dizziness and fainting. But also, just a big shout out to that individual if you're watching our video, or if somebody's watching our video on Facebook. Just want to commend you and say, I know it's very scary, but you did a great job.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, everybody's still alive and well. But just know this. Just always, guys, write this down. This is so important. This is very, very important. You can always stop your dialysis and do it later on. Okay. The most important thing is you don't want to cause harm or do any damage, right? And if you just stop the treatment, you could always come back to it later or a different day, right? So I have a saying, kind of goes like this: it's better to just end the treatment and be able to come back and do a treatment later versus continuing treatment and may not ever have another treatment.
Right.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with stopping dialysis during a treatment and trying a different time, a different day. Okay, that there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, moving on. Ways to regulate blood pressure when the kidneys fail. You need to take your medications as prescribed, first and foremost.
Right.
Your healthcare provider may prescribe medications to help control your blood pressure. It's essential to take these medications as directed and to follow up with your provider regularly to ensure that your blood pressure is well controlled. Again, like I said, as the seasons change, summer, winter, spring, fall, right? As the seasons change, so will your blood pressure. And I've even seen it if you've been on blood pressure medications, been on dialysis for a while, that your blood pressure usually gets regulated and you don't even need medications. And in fact, Now this is like, I'm sure Eric can talk about this. When you do home dialysis, home hemodialysis, you take fewer blood pressure medications.
Oh, correct.
So want to put that out there for you guys. So something to think about. You definitely want to look into doing home hemodialysis. And if you need a care partner, you can reach out to us at info@primohealthcareservices.com, info@primohealthcareservices.com, where we send a trained professional out to your house and they do the dialysis there for you, just like they do in center. But this is a catered service to you as an individual, one-on-one care. Who else, is providing that the way that we do? The answer is nobody. So reach out to us. Let's get that going for you. You want to be treated like a king and a queen and you're on a throne?
And like Tom said, one-on-one.
One-on-one. Right? So here's the next one. You want to eat healthy, guys. Have a healthy diet. Healthy diet can help to control blood pressure and protect the kidneys. Sharice, we can go to the bigger slide if you want to just cut us out. I really want them to have the points on the side. Healthy diet, keep control of blood pressure and protect the kidneys. This may include limiting your intake of sodium, eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, and choosing foods that are low in saturated and trans fats.
Right.
So limiting your intake of sodium, if not even eliminating your intake of sodium. I've seen some amazing things happen when you completely eliminate sodium from your meals. All right. Next one, Sharice.
Well, stop right there before you go on.
That's right.
I know you say you want to decrease sodium. Sodium is also good for the body because it helps you not cramp during the dialysis. And if you do have low blood pressure, there's quite a few times where I got off the machine and my low blood pressure was down, and the nurse recommended me to drink some broth to bring my salt level up. So
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of patients that drink pickle juice before treatment because they're prone to get cramps.
So let me hit on that though for a minute, because the sodium, the reason why you want low sodium is because the sodium is going to hold on to the water. It won't release it. So if you're walking around and you have fluid on you and your salt intake's high, we're not going to be able to get that fluid off during dialysis, because dialysis can only pull fluid that's in the vascular system. So if you have fluids in an interstitial spaces, right, we can't pull that. Now, there is a trick that you can do. And this is a golden nugget. There's probably clinicians out there that may not even heard about this. So I'm going to drop this bomb on you right now. So here's the trick. If you have swelling in your legs, you may want to ask your healthcare professional of ordering some leg compression stockings. Now, what this will do is you're going to wear them only on dialysis. And when you put your feet up in the air, in the chair, and you have leg compression stockings, it's pushing the fluid into your vascular system, and it helps maintain your blood pressure. It's a trick. It's the old tricky Ricky that you can do here to maintain your blood pressure. So if you got fluid in the legs, you can put a compression stocking on. It helps compress it and push it into the vascular system, and we can pull that fluid out. So little trick there. All these little things add up to making a efficient and better dialysis treatment. Okay, where are we at, Sharice? That should be exercisively, right? There you go, regular exercise. This can lower blood pressure and improve your overall health. We've heard this all of our life, right? So your healthcare provider can recommend appropriate types and levels of physical activity to you. Again, a lot of these things is our opinion. Always follow up with your healthcare provider and see what they recommend for you. And we will go on to the.
Well, before you pick on that, it's a lot harder doing exercise coming from in the center
Good point.
You're so wore out that day is totally gone. So doing home dialysis, when you come off the machine, I myself wasn't tired at all. I can do exercise. But coming from in center and off the machine, you were so wore out.
You're looking for the bed, the chair that you can lay down on when you're dialyzing in center.
So getting exercise doing treatment in center is really hard. So that's why there's a lot of options about going home. Every time I hear people going home doing dialysis, the first thing they say, man, I got so much energy. So I just want to capitalize on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's because, in regarding to at least the next stage machine, it's not as efficient as the Fresenius machines that they have out there in the market or the in-center machines. It's not as efficient with them. That's why when you go home for home hemo, you need more days for dialysis. But the advantage is it's really gentle in the body. It really helps those patients out who have a heart issue. And, at the end, you have so much more energy. So that machine stops for 2 minutes every 30 minutes and allows the body to compensate and relax and have refill of the fluid going into the vascular system, the electrolytes going back in there. It helps maintain the blood pressure, where in the center, that machine does not do anything except for pull fluid. It's constantly pulling.
For 4 hours.
For 4 hours. Now, if you wanted to do a tricky Ricky on those machines, every 30 minutes, you can ask the technician to stop pulling the fluid for 2 minutes. And it's going to mimic the same thing that we're doing at home with the next stage machine. So it's going to stop, pull the fluid, and then you have them restart it after 2 minutes every 30 minutes. And that's going to help give you time for your body to refill. That should allow you to have more energy at the end of your treatment as well. So good point, Eric, in regards to health and exercise, in regards to having energy after dialysis. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, are saying, a lot of warriors out there like, damn, I'm so tired after dialysis. I can't do no exercise.
Absolutely, yeah.
So good point. Again, this is come right from Eric's experience. He knows he's been on home hemodialysis. How many years was it? 2-3 years home hemo?
Home hemo? No, 4.
4 years. There you go, guys. 4 years. All right. If you are liking what you're seeing and hearing so far, let's go ahead and hit that like button, that share button. We need as many shares as we can. Really appreciate it. As well as subscribing to our YouTube channel, which we are currently live, Primo Healthcare Services. So please go there and subscribe so we can continue to bring this content to you. All right. Moving on, we're about an hour into the show, guys. Hour into the show.
It's all about blood pressure, how to maintain it.
All about blood pressure. That's right. So here we go. Man, ways to regulate blood pressure when kidneys fail. If you're smoking, man, it's not a good combo. Please look for help. Smoking can increase your blood pressure and damage the kidneys. If you smoke, quitting can help to lower your blood pressure and protect your kidneys, right? We talked about this. Smoking makes the blood vessels small. It's like the tree. The tree is the core, and as the branches go out, they get skinnier. Same thing as your blood vessels. The core is the center of your body. As it goes out, it gets skinnier. So please, please, please do something about smoking if you're smoking. Look for patches, other nicotine alternatives that can help you, but the smoking is no good. Now we're on to, let's see what we got.
So avoid smoking.
Did you ever smoke, Eric?
No.
No, I never did either. Oh, here's one. Limit alcohol intake. Okay. Now, just so you know, as it says here, excessive alcohol consumption can raise your blood pressure and damage the kidneys. It's important to limit your alcohol intake to reduce the risk of complications. Now, remember, this is when you drink an alcohol, you have to urinate, right? Because it acts like a diuretic. So, if you're on dialysis and you're drinking alcohol, it's going to stay in your system until you have dialysis. That's the warning. So if you want to go to a party and get drunk. You're going to stay that way until you have your dialysis. So that's not a good thing at all. It's horrible for your medications that you're taking. And I'm going to say, because I always tell it like it is, but hey, listen, guys, if you're going to drink, and remember, you're drinking these bottles of beer, that's all volume, right? And that volume's not coming off till you do your dialysis. So, not recommending, but I'm just going to plant the seed out there that if you're drinking, maybe you do like vodka or something with less quantity, but the same strength as a beer, right?
Yeah,
So,
I actually knew an individual in center who was an alcoholic, and he wasn't in tune with his body, and he drunk, and he said, what makes a difference? The next day I will pull it off anyway.
yeah. So, some people have that mentality, it's headstrong.
Right.
Listen, I had an 80-something-year-old patient who, he used to bring a can of beer in. That was his thing. And he'd bring a can of beer into the dialysis center.
Doing dialysis.
During dialysis. It'll be in my book. Don't worry, guys. But yeah, so that was something there. It was, from the concentration camp, had the tattoos and all.
Mm-hmm.
And real nice guy. He just he had a life in his life. At that point he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and bring beer with me and have a beer on dialysis. So that was his thing. That's what he did. And but yeah, just limiting your alcohol consumption for sure.
Right.
If you're going to drink something that's smaller quantity to reduce the excessive volume that you'll have, and we'll go from there. So our next slide we have here coming up, we'll talk about. Let's see here. We'll come back to it in a second. Our assistant had to step away for a second there. Okay, so Eric, did you drink at all while you were on dialysis?
I'm a very individual who didn't drink or didn't smoke.
Okay.
I didn't have no desire for no water, no juice, nothing. I can always tell when my blood pressure was getting low. I always had candy on the side, so that was my indication. A person who's doing dialysis and or in tune with the body, I know each decrease of the blood pressure, I can feel it. That's why I always had candy on the side, and that did help me out.
Nice, yeah. Definitely, maintaining candy with you while you're in dialysis, that candy helps with, as long as it's sugar-free, it'll help with decreasing your volume, so you're not as thirsty. If you notice that if you're diabetic and you're on dialysis and you notice that your sugar is high, you're also going to see there's correlation between that and a high volume, high weight gains. So you're gaining fluid, and you're wondering, why am I gaining so much? It's because your sugars have been high. So if you are running high sugars, it is going to make you thirsty. So you're going to be drinking a lot from that. So if you're going to be chewing on candy and have candy during dialysis, make sure it's sugar-free. But you definitely want to have something there. Make sure it's okay by your dialysis unit as well to have some candy, because I personally have had a patient that choked on gum, and we weren't able to get her airway because of that. So it was a tragic accident, and so if you're chewing candy, make sure your technician or your nurse knows, or your care partner knows that you have candy in your mouth, something there, just in case and this is what happened, the blood pressure went low, and the patient didn't realize the blood pressure was low and became symptomatic, and the gum was stuck in the airway. So
plus you can if the candy didn't work, I always ask for some IV,
some solution,
to bring it up.
Normal saline. So whenever your blood pressure is down and you're having dialysis, this is for the care partners at home. maybe in the clinic, if you see the trend of the blood pressure dropping, and usually if it drops more than 20 points from in your systolic, the top number.
Right.
So if you're like 140 and then all of a sudden the next blood pressure is 120, really stay focused on that because that blood pressure is dropping. So maybe instead of checking it every 30 minutes, you can always check it every 10, every 15 minutes. You know, the more frequent you check it, it's not going to hurt you. Although I'm going to admit, if you're in the center, it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. But I will tell you, I had a educator that approached me and said, you know, you can't take blood pressure every 15 minutes because the doctor ordered for every 30 minutes. Now, I really was like annoyed by this person to even have, you know, like I can't even make sense of the rationale because it doesn't hurt anybody checking the blood pressure every 15 minutes at that, you know, that particular person. It wasn't hurting them. It wasn't like they're on blood thinners and it's bruising their arm or they have a broken arm and I'm taking a blood pressure on it. It wasn't anything crazy like that. Just a normal patient, blood pressure started to go down. We started checking every 15 minutes and we realized, you know, like, hey, this is dropping. We need to look at a little bit more. So then it came into, oh, well, so if you've seen something, then you should call a doctor and get an order to do a blood pressure every 15 minutes. So again, I mean, the clinicians are out there. You kind of know what I'm saying on this. It's the most ridiculous thing you probably heard. And, you know, it even annoys me to even talk about it because it just doesn't make sense. Therese, let's go on to our next slide, please.
You know, I was wondering if a patient comes in center or even home and they got one arm and their fistulas in that one particular arm, where you hook up the blood pressure at.
So we're gonna go over a little bit about positioning. Therese, we need our slide, please. We'll go over a little bit about where to take blood pressures at in the arms. Therese, we need to skip this one. Here you go, managing stress. So, you know, the stress of being stressful chronically all the time will raise your blood pressure, it will harm the kidneys. It's important to find ways to manage the stress, like you said, exercise, relaxation techniques, and counseling. So stress, if you're stressed out, your blood pressure is going to go high. It's why a lot of people have strokes when their blood pressure is high and then they have a stroke because of it. So always reduce your stress if possible. Reducing stress can even be eliminating individuals in your environment that are very negative or always putting pressure on you or stressing you out. You know, as our parents used to say, you know, I don't like you hanging out with Johnny because you act just like him, right? So I'm going to take that even further and say, well, the same thing with what you're watching on TV, what you're looking up on the internet. All those things are factors that are influencing your life and putting stressors on you. So try to eliminate the negativity is going to be my golden nugget on that. Eliminate your negativity that's around you and control. We like to talk about control. Control your environment. Control what you put into your life. Control what's in your space. Control who you hang out with. If your friend John's coming over and he's always complaining about something, just tell him, look, man, cut the negativity out. We don't want no part of it. It brings me down. It gets my blood pressure up, and high blood pressure is not good for me.
Right.
Go ahead, Therese. All right, now we're getting into the nitty gritty. Monitoring the blood pressure regularly, right? So you got to check your blood pressure frequent. You know, regularly checking your blood pressure at home or in the clinic can help you and your healthcare provider monitor your blood pressure and make any necessary adjustments to your treatment plan. So you want to constantly make sure your blood pressure is in range, which again is 120 over 80. You know, and we'll go on to the next one. But yeah, definitely check your blood pressure regularly. We check it in the center every 30 minutes. When you're in the ICU, we check it every 15 minutes. And again, you can't do no harm if you check it more frequent than that. So especially if you know it's low or it's trending low, I mean, you don't want it to go, you know, once it's low, it only takes a couple minutes to go even lower, and you could be, now you're reacting versus being preventative. So that's what we talked about earlier today, being preventative versus reactive. Let's go ahead and hit the next one up, Sharice. All right. What to do when your blood pressure is low and you're on dialysis. Number one, you can adjust your dialysis schedule. You don't have to have dialysis right then and there. So if you're experiencing low blood pressure after dialysis, your healthcare provider may recommend adjusting your dialysis schedule or the length of your dialysis treatment. And I'm going to add on there, you can also look at, might even be there, blood pressure medicine. I believe we probably have a slide on that on the next one or so. So, Eric, how many times did you, or have you ever skipped a dialysis treatment because your blood pressure was not in range, or no?
Me, myself, no.
Okay.
No.
But you can, if you got low blood pressure, skip your dialysis. So let's go back to the slides, please, Sharice.
I mean, what's the principle in center if the patient comes in with a
If it's under
blood pressure?
90, we got to call the doctor and make sure we have okay to do dialysis. A lot of times there'll be parameters. If you're dialyzing at home, there's going to be a parameter. I mean, you had a parameter, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the same thing, maybe going back to that story we talked about earlier that was on Facebook, maybe that individual would be a good practice to ask the kidney doctor what would be a parameter for me to dialyze, the warrior. And he'll say, if it's below these numbers, don't do dialysis or stop dialysis. I mean, home hemodialysis is relatively new and, more, it's not new, but it's just being used more often now.
Right.
And there's things that the space isn't perfected yet. So there's things that are happening that you can do or that we can change in that model. And one of them might be that maybe patients that go home for home hemodialysis that are, there with a spouse, a neighbor, or somebody doing as their care partner, maybe they all should go home with parameters on their blood pressure. So, and have those parameters printed out, have it there.
That's why I think a patient has to be in tune with their body. They gotta know what's going on.
Absolutely. So here we go. What to do when your blood pressure is low and you're on dialysis. You want to increase your fluid intake. So drinking more fluids can help to increase your blood pressure by increasing the volume of your blood in your body. Your healthcare provider can recommend an appropriate fluid intake for you. So again, your blood pressure is low. What do you need? You need fluids. Either you're going to drink it or we're going to give it to you through the IV, through the machine. Okay, so you've got to increase your volume to get that blood pressure up when it's low. The other thing you can do, we told you a little tricky Ricky, is use the leg stockings. Or if you're passed out, one thing you can do when you pass out and it's low blood pressure is lift the legs higher than the head. I'll say it again, lift the legs higher than the head. There's two big organs that are very important that you want to make sure always has blood in it. One is your brain and one is your heart. So lifting the legs up higher than your head with gravity will drain the blood into your heart and to your brain. So that's important to know, that lift the legs higher than the head. All right, now we talked a little bit about this not too long ago, but you got to treat your anemia. When your blood cell is low, guess what? Your blood pressure is going to be low. Mm-hmm. So your healthcare provider may recommend treatment with medications such as erythropoietin or iron supplements. Increasing the number of red blood cells can help to increase the blood pressure. So remember, the more volume, the higher the blood pressure. And again, this is mainly if your blood pressure is low and you're on dialysis, right? Treat the anemia. What is your hemoglobin?
Very important, very important.
On to the next, we have the recap. the recap here of treatments for low blood pressure. If you're dehydrated, your healthcare provider will recommend that you drink fluids to help raise your blood pressure. We talked about that. Now we have medications called vasopressors. So vasopressor medications constrict blood vessels and increase blood pressure. They may be used to treat severe hypotension that does not respond to fluids alone. So you may need a vasopressor if you're giving fluid and the blood pressure isn't really moving. So it helps by constricting blood vessels and it increases the blood pressure at that point. Now the erythropoietin is the hormone that's produced by the kidney that stimulates the production of red blood cells. Increasing the number of red blood cells can help increase your blood pressure. Again, it's increasing the volume of blood cells, would therefore result in a higher blood pressure. And if you have fluids, that will help with the dehydration for low blood pressure as well. Simply, again, just correlating with high blood pressure, there's lots of volume on you. Low blood pressure, there's low volume on you. All right, going into who we got next here, Sharice. There you go. Evelyn Greenfield. Vasopressors press up on the blood pressure. Very good. Treatments for high blood pressure. Well, we have our ACE inhibitors. They block the production of a hormone called angiotensin, which constricts the blood vessels and increases blood pressure. Then we have the ARBs, which block the action of angiotensin on blood vessels, which can help to relax vessels and lower the blood pressure. And then we got the classic beta blockers. These block the effects of certain hormones that constrict blood vessels and increase the heart rate, which can help to lower your blood pressure. All right, so these are treatments of high blood pressure that are, treatments for high blood pressure that are you're able to take as a medication. All right, now we have the calcium channel blockers, another medication. This relaxes the smooth muscles in the walls of blood vessels, which help to lower the blood pressure. And diuretics. Diuretics increase the amount of urine produced by the kidneys, which can help to reduce the volume of blood in the body and lower the blood pressure. So we're decreasing the volume, so therefore your high blood pressure will be decreased. And then it is important to take these medications as directed and to follow up with your healthcare provider regularly to ensure that your blood pressure is well controlled. Your healthcare provider can help you choose the most appropriate medication for your specific needs. A lot of times, I'm going to put this out there as well. Give me 1 second, Eric.
Yeah.
When you have hypertension specialists, which are sometimes kidney doctors as well. So pick one and stick with them. Don't go to your kidney doctor for blood pressure related and then go to your cardiologist for blood pressure related, because they're going to be they're two different theories that they may have, and they may conflict, or they may prescribe you too much of one or the other medication.
Right.
So please stick with one. Look for a hypertension specialist. Usually you'll find them with the nephrologist, and stick with them. That's what they do. When your kidneys shut down, remember your kidneys regulate blood pressure. So you want to stick to a nephrologist, in my opinion, more than a cardiologist. There's always a battle between the two, because cardiologist likes to give fluid, nephrologist likes to remove the fluid.
Right.
But you know what? Your kidneys are regulating your blood pressure, so stick with the nephrologist,
Right.
my opinion. On to the next slide, we have the blood pressure boot camp, achieving optimal health. Okay, that's today. Are we ready to go on to our next phase? So are we ready for the hands-on?
I guess so, yeah.
All right, so guys, let's turn this live again. And what we're going to do live, meaning our video, we're going to drop it on us, and we're going to go into how to take a blood pressure. And we have a couple different items here. And if you just joined us, we welcome you to the ENT show.
Let's go home.
Let's go home. You know, we are here every Saturday. Let's go home. And so if you like what you've seen or heard so far, please share it. Great content. A lot of people need to know this information out there, especially if they're dialyzing at home. Okay, so we're going to go into taking the blood pressure. And first up, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go reverse. I have a blood pressure. We're live here. Let me just put this here for a second. Sorry. Here you go. Okay, so I have a blood pressure machine here. I particularly picked this one, just this type. It's a little bit different than what's normally prescribed to the home patients. And I want to mention the reason why I picked this one is because the patient I dialyze, they like to sleep during dialysis, and there's no cords on it, as you see. And this machine here will actually has an app. It's a Withings. It's about $100. It's a great investment if you're a care partner, because you can just put this on the arm, hit the button, and the recordings actually go to the app that's on my phone. So it will display here, and I also will get the hard copy sent to my phone, which then I transcribe into the iPad for next to me users. It also tracks it, trends it, and I just think it's super easy to do. Some of the blood pressure machines, they have the cords go all kinked up. There's a lot of errors from time to time. You know, if they go from sitting to standing, you got to hold the device the whole time. It's a real, and again, Withings isn't sponsoring this or anything. This is just my experience I'm sharing with you.
Is that rechargeable?
It's rechargeable. It's got a little plug right here that you recharge it with. Charge lasts. I mean, I think I dialyze the patient probably every 2 weeks without even charging it, and it still has like 50% when I take it to charge.
Okay.
You know, but this is this blood pressure cuff is really nice. It's got a nice feel for it and all. Again, if you don't like the cords on your arms and stuff when you're sleeping and all this kind of things, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Is it heavy?
But yeah, we can give it a try. You know, Eric's got these 20-inch, 25-inch arms over here.
Yeah, right.
Let's see this fits. So we want to bring this camera up here, and we'll show them how we do this. Huh? All right, so this is the hands-on portion of the blood pressure training that we're doing now. Again, the goal is the brachial artery comes down. You want to make sure that, you know, this is lined up in there. It's got this one may not have the diagram on there. This one doesn't have the diagram on there. But we spin this around, and it loops through, and then it's just a Velcro, okay? This Velcro comes through, and then boom, we're going to hit the blood pressure. And you can see here, this is blood pressure. I hit it again, and then it starts blowing up. And Eric, you just tell them, is it uncomfortable? Does it hurt right now? Is it?
Oh, I don't feel nothing right now.
Okay, good. So this machine works really well. And you see it's telling you, it's taking the blood pressure. It's got the arrows going, the dots going through. So it's maintaining the blood pressure. Again, this is all battery operated. It charges. The results will be sent over to my phone. So I have it there all the time. It's down. Okay, there's the recording, 146 over 89, heart rate 64. So I'm going to record all three numbers. It's important to record a heart rate with the blood pressure numbers. And, that there will be sent over. How was that? Did that hurt at all, Eric, or anything?
So this be sent to your phone.
It's sent to my phone.
And after the 4-hour treatment, then you were submitted into the iPad.
As a matter of fact, what I do is I actually, after I take a blood pressure reading, I will look on my phone, and then I'll just transcribe from my phone to the iPad.
Okay.
So, instead of me like having to get up back and forth,
Right.
it's really just a lazy technique that I do. So instead of me having to go back and forth to the patient to check, hit the button for the blood pressure and then wait for it to finish and then go back up there and see what the results were. And sometimes I miss the results because the screen blacked out on me. It timed out on me.
Sure. How many?
You know how annoying that is?
How many recordings does this hold? Do you know?
Oh, it sends it. It doesn't record. It just sends to the
Okay.
phone.
All right. So you can't go back and see your last blood
It
pressure.
probably could, but I haven't. I don't use it on that function.
And what you purchase this at?
So this was purchased at Best Buy,
Okay.
and there's no affiliate links or anything like that. But if you need help with it, just let us know. We can order it for you and send it out to you. Or whatever you want to do.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, it's a very comfortable. And again, like I said, it helps when you take your blood pressure, and then it timed out, and then you're like, oh man, what was it? And then you got to redo it again. So if you're one of those busy people during dialysis as a care partner, and you want a reading that gets recorded, it sends it right over through the Wi-Fi. It'll go right to the phone. So that's again, we kind of went reverse where we're showing you like the latest technology items, and now we're going to go back to the basics, to the beginning, and with that today we're going to actually have Charisse and I are going to reverse our roles, and she's going to do the blood pressure manually. And, as a student nurse, she's more up to date on what they are teaching in the schools, which shouldn't really change much for blood pressure. But, hey, let's go ahead and let her do a blood pressure manually just to show you guys how to do a manual blood pressure, right? Because sometimes if you think the machine isn't accurate, you want to check manually, right? And there's two things we can do. Let's go ahead and have Charisse do a manual blood pressure.
Okay.
All right.
Hi everyone.
This is Charisse.
My name's Charisse. I'm a student nurse as well as the CEO of Primo Healthcare Services. So here we have the manual blood pressure cuff. We have the cuff and the meter and the one that blows it up. So first we want to put it on the arm.
So again, that you want the cords right there on the brachial artery.
Just right there.
Right here on the brachial artery. My hands are cold.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. So you want to palpate the brachial artery. First, locate where it is.
I'm not dead, am I?
No. Maybe you should press it a little harder. It takes me a little bit. You want to see where
Could be more over on this side.
this side?
It's more of the inner as well. Here it is, right here, right where my middle finger is at.
Okay.
So what I'm feeling is a pulse there.
Right. So
That's a brachial artery pulse that I could feel.
So once you palpate it, you want to get your stethoscope.
And make sure you cleaned it off.
Yep.
Use your alcohol to clean it.
And put it on the diaphragm where you found the brachial artery. Be easy to put this here so you can see where it is. And then you're gonna tighten the bulb
So this here is a valve that when it's turned one way, it releases the air. When it turned the other way, it closes it off so that the air will stay within the blood pressure cuff and doesn't back out.
And then you're gonna ask the patient how much their blood pressure is usually. So what was the last one again?
146.
146. So you're gonna inflate it 30 more.
So it'll be at 176.
Right. So this is.
I'm just going to zoom in on this gauge here so they can see.
And then I'm not gonna do it
like.
yet, but the first beat that you hear, that's the systolic, and then the second one, that's your diastolic. So now I'm gonna do it. So inflate it 30 more.
See, she's just squeezing the bulb, and the readings are going up. She's listening for the first beat, and she's going to listen for the second beat. The first one is going to be systolic. The second will be a diastolic. Remember, the systolic is the contraction of the ventricle of the heart, and the diastolic is the relaxation.
So I got 142/82.
Okay, and of course you would have to do a manual heart rate to get the heart rate.
What, you count on what, each beat, or what? How does that work?
So the first one that you hear would be the systolic.
Okay.
So everything is like silent at first, and then it's like the beat, and then you release the air, and then the second beat that you hear, that would be the diastolic.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to describe it, Sharice. How you said you don't hear nothing at first,
Right.
and then as the air is going down on the gauge, you will hear. Wait, leave that on there for a second. I want to do one more thing.
Okay.
So as you hear nothing, and as the gauge is dropping, you will hear a beat sound, and that beat is the first number. That is the systolic, the top number of the blood pressure, and that's the one where the heart is contracting. And then when you hear the second beat, that is the heart relaxing, and that would be the bottom number, the diastolic. So always think like I, in my mind, I say diastolic is the down or the bottom number,
Right.
and systolic is like the top number, the super number, right? So superior. I try to do things like that to remember. To remember it that way. Now, here's the other thing. There's a little bit advanced technique, but where you can get the systolic if you didn't have your stethoscope on you to listen. And it's usually done if you can't get a blood pressure on the person. And the way you do that is you actually will blow this up.
I'll switch it. Do the reverse again.
Faces.
So this is if you can't get a blood pressure.
Yeah, like I want a baseline number. Where is Eric's blood pressure right now? So first thing I'm gonna do is palpate for the brachial artery. Okay, I got it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blow this up. I have no idea what his blood pressure could be, right? But I'm trying to find a blood pressure on. So I might do like 180, and then I just slowly let this down. And as soon I don't feel nothing, as soon as I feel a beat, that will be the systolic number. All right, I felt one there at the 140 marker. And that's all I'm looking for. Where is this at? Where is his blood pressure baseline at for the top number? So that's just a little advanced technique that you can do. But if you're in an emergency, you're not really getting blood pressure, blow up the arm. You got to have a gauge, of course, and if you don't have your stethoscope, and you can kind of just see where their blood pressure is at. So I just wanted to point that out as well, and that really is our basic clinical aspect of the blood pressure.
Which more accurate reading, this or the manual?
Well, the digital ones are calibrated and certified, So they are supposed to be accurate, but we always fall back on these as an accurate reading. The reason why there's not more blood pressure is being done through manual is because it just takes time, and that's why everybody went to the machines. You'll see in the hospitals everybody use a machine, but you go to the doctor's office, they might do a manual still.
Yeah, I was gonna say, every time I go to the doctor's office, the doctor actually does the manual.
The manual one, yeah. But if you're in the hospitals, I mean, we have so many patients and stuff. Same thing in dialysis unit. But the blood pressures on the machines, they're accurate. Sometimes they act a little funny, but there's things to consider. So let's talk about some things to consider. We don't have this in the PowerPoint slide, but I'll put in there. For somebody who had previous fistula or graft put in the arm, previous vascular surgeries, you're not going to get an accurate blood pressure, or maybe difficult because they had surgeries that tied off some of their vascular in that arm. So Eric asked a question earlier about if you can't do a blood pressure in an arm, where else do you go? Now I'm going to tell you guys a couple things. One, and you shouldn't do this, okay? Just know as a clinician, you shouldn't do this. We do it all the time in the clinic. Not we, but I see it done all the time. They do the blood pressure up here. It's low when they're standing, when the patient's standing or the warrior's standing. So what do? They move it down here. Well, this is not an accurate reading. The most accurate is the one that's to the core of the body. The closer you can get a blood pressure there, the more accurate it is. So that would be up in the arms. If you go in down here, you're going to get an inaccurate reading. If you go down into the leg, you're going to get an inaccurate reading. Get down to your ankle, you're getting an inaccurate reading. So the best blood pressures are the ones up in the arms. But just know if they have previous access that have been installed there, then you're probably not going to get an accurate reading in general. So then we have to do a couple things, right? So first thing is you get a blood pressure that isn't within limits or is really, either low or super high. Ask the patient, the warrior, how do you feel? Are you dizzy? Do you have any chest pain, any headaches, any nausea?
Yeah, you would ask this question before you start treatment of dialysis.
Well, I'm talking about if we have a low blood pressure during
okay.
dialysis. I mean, I do. I mean, I'll ask them any pain, bleeding, or falls since last treatment, any nausea or vomiting, any diarrhea, constipation. I ask those questions before I start treatment. But I'm just saying that when we're doing a blood pressure, and if you get a number that's out of range, you want to not just treat the number. That's the whole thing. It's advice. The numbers are advice.
Right.
You got to go to the patient. How do you feel? You feel like your blood pressure is low? Do you feel like your blood pressure is high? Go through the symptoms. Say if your blood pressure is high, do you have a headache? Do you have chest pain? Do you feel like you're going to throw up? If your blood pressure is low, are you dizzy? Do you feel like you're going to pass out? Are you having a sensation that you have to use the bathroom? Do you notice yourself yawning a lot? You got to go through those things because you don't want to treat just based off of a number. It's just there to give you advice. That's the best way to say it. It's just there to give you advice. So it helps you become preventative versus reactive. And so again, if you're taking the blood pressure on the arm, it's not accurate on the lower arm. So if they're driving and you want to get a blood pressure above 90 and this is like 92, it's probably low. So don't be lazy. Let them sit. Tell them be patient a little bit more. You're concerned about their safety of driving. I mean, I've had patients that got in car accidents on the way home when the blood pressures were 90 when they left. And they said they would sit in the car and wait a little bit. And next thing you know, they're in a car accident on the way home. So don't take that as an answer. We want patient safety first and foremost. And you've been following our shows. We appreciate you guys participating, showing up, and bringing some of the value to the community as well. So, it's all about building a relationship with your patients. So if they can trust you, you can trust them, they can trust you. And they know, like my patients know when I'm serious, there's something wrong. Like when I say serious, like when I'm like in that drive mode. We're like, dude, we need to do blood pressure now. Like when it gets serious, then they know, my patients know, like something's going on. And he's looking, where's the problem at? And I'll do that a lot. I'll check blood pressures, I'll reposition in the chair, do things like that. Otherwise, it's usually stress-free dialysis. But as soon as I'm up and I'm in it, patients know something's happening. I let them know, always explain to them what I'm doing beforehand and the reason why I'm doing it as I do it. So, but just going back to it, blood pressures in the wrists are not good. Blood pressure down here is not good. Blood pressure up here is the best. The legs are going to be high because they're away and it's lower in the gravity field. So if you're doing a blood pressure, you can do one around the upper leg here. Right. Oops. Not sure what that was.
Oh, that's nice.
The ring fell. The ring unscrewed.
No, in the nursery school that you taking up, they teach you on that one first, Cerise?
Yeah, they do. That's the one that they test us on as well. Because you got to have that basic knowledge.
Right. In nursing school, they teach you basically what to do if you're thrown in a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go out there and survive? The number one tool, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the number one tool is a clock. Number one tool for a nurse is a clock, a watch. We can't do a blood pressure. We can't check a heart rate. We can't do IV drips if we don't have a clock. So,
Good.
All right, guys. So listen. So if you're doing blood pressure, I'll just take it off like this. Don't do one down here. This is no. If you're doing one down here, this is going to be really high, and it will look like this, right? Some do one here, and then we have the few that also do it down this way. Okay, so you have an artery underneath the knee, and you have and this one here and here. That's what they're basically checking, and then you got one down here as well. So just know these are not accurate. The one closest to the core of the body is most accurate for obtaining blood pressures. Any questions, guys? Any questions?
Yes.
There was a few questions.
All right.
I think this was from Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Marty, how's it going, Marty?
Wait, let me see. Yes, that was from Marty. She asked, do you know of any brand of blood pressure cuff that connects via Bluetooth to the next stage iPad?
So I don't particularly know that answer. What I've done, Marty, is I bought the Withings from Best Buy. It was like $100. What I would recommend, I just haven't done it, but if I just haven't had the minute to do the research on it.
Well, I did.
Oh, did you? You know the answer? Okay. I was just gonna say call next stage.
I called next stage and stuff, and the thing that was referred to me is they are working on it. They don't have the technology yet, but they are working on it, Marty. That's the response that I got.
And then she also said, when I've had low blood pressure, I often feel like I need to go to the bathroom really bad.
Yep.
And that was
It's very true. Very true. That's a sensation you get. That's the first signal you should be telling your care partner or whoever's taking care of you. Hey, there's something going on with my blood pressure. Please check it.
Right.
I feel like I go to the bathroom really bad.
She also said, I was very comfortable and confident in the dialysis I received when you were my nurse, Tom. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Marty. I appreciate that. Those of you who are watching this may not know, but Marty actually brought us out to provide her dialysis while she was on vacation. That's something we do. And if you're interested in that, please reach out to us at info@primohealthcareservices.com, info@primohealthcareservices.com. And we wanted to say thank you, Marty. Marty. Thank your husband as well. I hope all is well with everybody and the family. And
thanks for continue being supportive.
Support of our show, absolutely.
And she also asked a question: what is your opinion on the wrist blood pressure cuffs?
The wrist.
The wrist, yes, the
Okay.
wrist blood pressure
So
cuffs.
I kind of hammered out on the wrist blood pressure cuffs. I would totally stay away from them. Totally stay away from them. I think they're I don't think they're accurate. It's the most distant point. It's like you know, checking the rings of a tree on the tree limb. You know, on where the leaves are at. Like they're so small, it's not even really accurate. You know, I mean, it's going to give you a baseline number, but you know, it's not accurate. It's not accurate at all. The closer to the core, the better your blood pressure reading and results will be. Geez, did we do a top 10 takeaway or anything?
No, but there was another question.
Okay, I'll close this out with the top 10s.
There was, I'm not sure who it's from, but they asked, have there been patients that have acute injury and do dialysis a few years and recover? Actually, that was from Mandy Pandy.
Okay, so this is an interesting question. You know, my 29 years experience, and just make sure I understand the question. He's asking somebody who's been on dialysis for a period of time, do their kidneys come back if they've had acute kidney injury? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so my answer to that is yes, that has happened. You know, I've seen I call miracles as well, where the kidneys came back. It could have been misdiagnosed. Maybe they were what we call AKI, acute kidney injury, and their kidneys do come back. But a lot of times, what I find, which really bothers me a lot, is the doctors are not transparent with the kidney situation, if it's going to come back or not. And a lot of times they just suppress the conversation, they lower it, where it's like, yeah, you know, it may come back. They give them what I call a false sense of hope, you know, versus just being a realist about it. Because, you know, if you know your kidneys aren't working, then you're going to go through some stages of a little bit of grieving with it. But once you get to that stage where you're like, all right, listen, I'm ready to face it. I got kidney failure, and I need to learn everything I can about it. And, you know, I'm going to tune into, you know, the PHS Care Partners website and watch our videos, the ENT show. You know, I'm going to get educated, and I'm going to take control of my situation.
Absolutely.
And when you're at that point where you take control of your situation, it allows you to accept it and to just have a better treatment, a better quality of life. I mean, that's what we're talking about, better quality of life.
What he just said, you know, when I knew I was going to dialysis, I wanted all the information that I needed, and I'm still learning. The more information that I got, it was benefiting me because I knew what to expect. You got to be in tune with your body, you know. You got to know how the actually dialysis works. You got to know why dialysis is there. You got to know about the fluid. You got to know about the toxins in your body that builds up. You got to know everything about this. So the more education you get, the more learning, the more studying, the more time you tune into our show, the better understanding you will have about kidney failure.
Yeah, so get committed, and you know when you're committed, you'll have courage, commitment, and confidence, and you'll gain your control.
Absolutely.
So you know, look at those 4 C's, right? You know, courage, commitment, control. What was the other one?
Confidence.
Confidence. Thank you, Sharice. So you need those to get in control. So, but to circle back to the question, so it does happen where you, if you're truly an AKI, you could come back. That's quite often, and your kidneys can start working. As far as if you had diabetes, high blood pressure, and you went to kidney failure, you crashed into it, it may be a long-term thing, and you need to accept that as soon as possible. Don't let those doctors wishy-washy. You know, just be direct and like, hey, just keep it real, because the sooner I know, the faster I can accept it, and you know, I'll have my courage, my commitment, and my control and confidence on what I'm doing.
Right.
So, That's a great question. I really
Very
appreciate
good
you
question. Very good question.
bringing that to the table there with us. And thank you for joining us on our ENT show today. Let's go home. We're talking about blood pressure, high, low, what to do during dialysis, before dialysis, how the whole system works of, blood pressure in the body, the physiology behind it. And now we're going to close out with.
No, wait.
Oh.
Just a few comments.
Okay, we got some more. Sharice.
Slow down.
Sharice is letting me know we have more information there.
Not questions, but we do have comments from Evelyn Greenfield from YouTube. She said, "Love this. Can't believe YouTube recommended this to me. So glad I clicked on it. My uncle is on dialysis too."
Excellent, Sharice. And that was from Evelyn. Thank you, Evelyn, for your comment. Really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. Share with the friends, colleagues, coworkers, warriors. We give content out all the time. You can check out our Facebook page at PHS Care Partners and or the ENT. What is it, Sharice? It is PHS Care Partners Home Dialysis. Sorry, I was thinking it was the ENT.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that we got a website. I don't know about it.
We also have Michael Gilchrist. He said, "You guys are rock stars living on dialysis. Love you guys."
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, thanks, Michael. Many prayers going out this week.
Absolutely.
To the blind chick.
You guys are amazing, man. You guys are amazing.
So thanks for being transparent through all that as well. Letting individuals know what the process is, what they're going through, to show the strength that a true warrior has. So, thank you so much for allowing us, to advertise our show that we do there, so to speak, on your platform. We really appreciate that. Again, we always just love to give value to, the dialysis community. So, but anyways, many prayers go out to Christina, and also while we're here, James and Don Bates, many prayers going out to
Absolutely.
you, Jimmy as well. So, if you haven't seen what's been going on, please go into their Facebook page, Don Bates and Jimmy Bates Facebook, and Living on Dialysis with Michael and Christina Gilchrist. So send some prayers out there, guys.
And that was it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, listen, I'm gonna drop 10 nuggets here on you guys. So these 10 nuggets are basically a summary of what we just did today. And again, you could follow along with us. We had a workbook there. If you're just coming across this, we have a workbook that's out there. It's in the chat. But here we go. These are the top 10 essential things you need to know about your blood pressure. Number 1, your blood pressure is the force of blood against the walls of your arteries as it is pumped around your body by your heart. It is measured in millimeters of mercury, mmHg. Okay. Number 2, your blood pressure has 2 numbers. What are they, Eric?
The systolic, and the diastolic, and the heart rate.
That's right. The systolic pressure is the higher number and measures the force of blood in your arteries when your heart beats. The diastolic pressure is the lower number and measures the force of blood in your arteries when your heart is resting between beats. Number 3, normal blood pressure is usually around
120 over 80.
120 over 80, that's correct. If your systolic blood pressure is consistently 140 or higher, or your diastolic pressure is 90 or higher, you may have high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. Very good. Number 4, high blood pressure can increase your risk of developing serious health problems such as, Sharice, give me a problem that high blood pressure can have.
Stroke.
Stroke, she said. kidney disease, heart attack.
Right.
Number 5, there are many factors that can affect your blood pressure, including
Stress,
stress, your age,
smoking,
your sex, your weight, and your family history. Number 6, you can help control your blood pressure by maintaining a healthy lifestyle, including eating a healthy diet, getting regular physical activity, not smoking, and limiting your alcohol intake. Number 7, your doctor may prescribe medications to help lower your blood pressure if it is too high. These may include angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, ACE. That's what that is, ACE inhibitors. Angiotensin receptor blockers, ARB. Beta blockers, calcium channel blockers, and diuretics. Number 8, it is important to regularly check your blood pressure to monitor your condition and make necessary adjustments to your treatment plan. Again, if you're low blood pressure, don't start dialysis.
right?
If you're very high blood pressure, don't start dialysis. Contact your dialysis center immediately and let them know they may want you to take some medicine before you start your dialysis.
Like Tom said, there's always tomorrow. Make sure there's always tomorrow.
That's right. That's the golden takeaway right there, Dan. Make sure if you're doing dialysis and your blood pressures or something's not right, you can always do dialysis later. If you push it, you may not be able to do dialysis later because you may have done so much damage, right? You follow me? Follow what I'm saying? All right, guys. Number 9. If you have kidney problems, it is important to work with your healthcare team to manage your condition to prevent complications. And number 10, it is never, ever, ever too late to make healthy lifestyle changes to control your blood pressure and reduce your risk of serious health problems.
Right.
And that, my friends, are the top 10 takeaways, essential things you'll need to know about your blood pressure.
That's why blood pressure is so important.
And with that being said, we are concluding our show today, which was pretty lengthy. We tried to shorten it up, but sometimes we get so involved with our show and what we're doing. We're very passionate about what we do, so we apologize for the lengthy videos. But again, the whole goal is to get the value, the education out there to the community. These are things that your dialysis center are too busy to teach you. Their goal is to make money off you and not really educate you.
Right.
But it's just saying,
It's true.
it's talking the truth. But we want to get the training out there. And I did hear, I don't know if this is true, I heard this somewhere, that the home hemo training programs are booked, and now they're doing group training. Have you heard that? I heard that through the grapevine. Not sure if it's true or not, but I sure hope it's not, because the last thing I would want is to have somebody violate my HIPAA and be training with a bunch of people
Right.
where it should be one-on-one training. So just putting that out there. Something of interest that I've heard through the grapevine. Not sure if it's true or not. But at the end of the day, listen, if you guys need help with anything, please reach out to us. My name is Tom, co-founder of Primo Healthcare Services, registered nurse, 29 years in dialysis. Reach out to us, info@primohealthcareservices.com, info@primohealthcareservices.com. We thank you for joining us. And Eric, how do they get a hold of you?
Eric Gonzalez, 8 years, final stages of transplant, another treatment option that I chose. Still learning about it. I did all 5 phases of it. And you want to reach out to me as a warrior to warrior. I know what you're going through. You want to decide to go from in-center to home and try it out, let me know. You can get a hold of me at Gonzo here. GONZOHERE@comcast.net. Warrior to warrior. I can tell you everything about what I've been going through with my knowledge, why I picked home therapy first, why I did the manual and the cycler and in-center and hemo and transplant. I would love to guide you through all my ups and downs. So, just contact me, Warrior for Water.
Very well. Sharice, any announcements that we have there?
Yes. We were also live on YouTube, so if you want to check that out on YouTube as well, you can subscribe at Primo Healthcare Services.
Excellent, excellent. Please, guys, subscribe. We need, was it 100 we need?
Yeah.
100 subscribers over there on YouTube. It gives us more flexibility to do things. So if you can at least, spread the word to 100 people, spread the word in your dialysis clinic, and let's get more of this information out there to the community. And we can't do it alone. We depend and request that you guys do that, especially if you're getting value from these videos. Please, share it. We have a dialysis training school that we have, so we sell this kind of material out there as well. And you were giving it to you for free as part of a value that we like to give out to the community to help support. Again, at Primo Healthcare Services, we are the name and the face kidney failure awareness and kidney exchange. So part of what we're doing is giving value out there. And, I know Eric's very passionate about this as well. So if you have podcasts or anything of that nature that you do, and you would like for us to join on your podcast, please reach out to us, info@primohealthcareservices.com, info@primohealthcareservices.com, and let's have a collaborative conversation.
Absolutely.
So,
the more people we can help and tune in and get them from in-center and home, that's my mission.
that's right. We all know if you want a better quality of life, home hemodialysis is the ticket.
Absolutely.
So you got to get out of that clinic. It's filled with bacteria, germs, and a lot of negativity in them places.
And stress.
Stress. Just imagine it. Just if you're going to a center, just do this for me today or this week. Notice your attitude before you go in there and on your days off. And you'll see you're putting stress on yourself going to that clinic. It's very stressful. It's scary. It's flat out scary, from you don't know if somebody cleaned the chair right and there's blood on it, and Mr. Jones is sitting next to you today and tomorrow he's not. There's all these things that are happening in your mind.
Right.
And whether if you know it or not, it just goes back to that control. You do home hemodialysis, you get to control your environment. You get to control when you dialyze. You don't have to dialyze Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 a.m. or 2:30 in the afternoon. You can dialyze Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 at night in your home with your family, your friends, and your pets.
Right.
So let's go home, guys. Thank you so much. Welcome to the E&T show as we exit out of here.
Thanks for tuning in.
Take us home, Sharice.